And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guests are Dr. Pia Orleane and Cullen Baird Smith. They are designers of the revolutionary Pleiadian-Earth Energy Calendar for navigating your life by energy rather than time. Pia and Cullen, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you. We're happy to be here with you today. We love talking about the work that we've been involved with for a very long time. So thank you for inviting us.
Well, we're excited to have you. And let's start from the beginning. How did your contact start?
Well, it started when we were born. We've been having interstellar beings, fairies, angels, the David Kingdom talk to us since all of our lives. We were born with that going on. I know that Cullen talks a lot of times about children having imaginary friends. Well, ours weren't imaginary. Most children's probably aren't imaginary. And we just never grew out of that. It just increased as we went along. More and more contacts from different beings of higher energy. But we never expected the contact we have now with our Pleiadian friends, Larkma. That was a bit of a surprise.
What happened when P and I met, we had an instant recognition of each other. Within the first 5 minutes of being in each other's presence, we realized that we were going to continue something that had been going on forever. And soon after that, we started having what many people would call poltergeist kind of experiences in our home. And what I mean by that is we would have furniture moving around. We would have lights going on and off.
Water faucets?
Yeah, water faucets in the kitchen or in the bathrooms, turning themselves on spontaneously. We had many, many of these unusual occurrences. And we didn't.
One night we were out for dinner and we came home, and as we were sitting in the car talking before we went in, we saw these 6 figures walk across in front of the car. And we turned and looked at each other and said, "Did you see that?" And of course, both of us had seen it. And it wasn't too long after we had that visual that we began to understand who it was that was contacting us.
So this went on, this kind of activity went on for, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And we thought, okay, what's going on? Who is here? What are you trying to communicate? And we moved from that house where these initial experiences began. We were living high in the mountains.
9,000 feet.
Yeah, almost 10,000 feet. And we lived in a valley at this elevation. We had no cell phone reception. We had no landline. We had no television. We had nothing to connect with the outer world except a shortwave radio. And we listened to the BBC or other broadcasts from around the world. That was our entertainment. And one night, it was actually on one of my birthdays, Pia had prepared a wonderful celebration dinner. Exactly at my birth time, believe it or not, the shortwave radio turned itself on. We looked at each other and went, "Did you forget? Did you leave it on?" And we both looked at each other again and said, "No."
And then we noticed what time it was on the clock. Thought, that's interesting.
So we got up, turned it off, went back, finished our meal. We thought this was pretty interesting. What was this all about?
The next day and the next day and the next day, the shortwave radio did the same thing at exactly the same time. We moved it from room to room and we finally unplugged it, and it still turned itself on, even unplugged. And at that point we said, okay, who is here? What do you want? How can we help? How can we help you?
So we started getting what we would call telepathic thought messages, not in our ears. It wasn't verbal, but it was information coming to us. And we would get a piece of information. This was the beginning of very advanced information and wisdom coming to us. And after a couple of days, we began to look at each other and say, I just got this message. It's about binary number systems, or it's about time travel.
But whatever one of us had just received, the other one would say, that's exactly what I just got. So it's coming to us simultaneously. Advanced medicine, binary systems of counting, advanced technology, all kinds of things we were being told about. So we proceeded from there to say, okay, this is coming too fast. We're going to fast forward a little bit in this story. But we decided we need to record this because we couldn't keep up with it.
We were trying to take notes, and we couldn't, even with shorthand, it was impossible to get all of this vital wisdom down. We just couldn't do it.
So we did this for a period of time, and then we had to go to a medical conference. And at the medical conference, we were very sad because we would not be in front of the shortwave radio at the time of our usual communication. And we checked into our hotel, and the television turned itself on. And immediately, our friends, which we now knew they called themselves LARCMA, they announced, did you think we can only come through your shortwave? We can find you wherever you are. So that began a more fluid communication where they do what they call nudging us, that they want to talk, or we can say, LARCMA, we'd like to talk, and we have a conversation.
As a psychologist, when that first started happening for you, did you doubt it or think you were going crazy?
No, but I had a tremendously supportive colleagues in my group. And I walked in and said, this is what's going on. And they said, tell us more. So we shared with them what was going on. And we even took this to a university in California with a group of people who had been on my PhD committee years before and said, we have something you think you'll be interested in. So one of the members of the group said, we want to test it. Cullen and I said, fine, go ahead. And he said, this is Dr. Stanley Krippner. I think a lot of people know Dr. Stanley Krippner.
Yeah, this man was well-versed in unusual
psychological phenomena,
paranormal things. He's a PhD in psychology and had vast experience of interviewing people about NDEs, about extraterrestrials. I mean, he was not a doubtful person, so he wasn't being skeptical, but he did ask.
He said, I want to test. So our dear friend, colleague, said to our LARCMA, our Pleiadian friends, I lost something 6 months ago. Where is it and what is it? LARCMA took 3 seconds and paused and said, get up, go look in the closet in this building, look in your green sweater, and you'll find it in your left-hand pocket. So he got up and excused himself and came back from this office setting where we were all meeting. And when he came back, he said, found my keys. They'd been missing for 6 months. After that, written up in a Journal of Psychological Events, and it was published for unusual psychological phenomena. So even transitioning from being a psychologist to doing this full time was fairly smooth for us because we had support from our colleagues.
When you hear the voice, is it in your voice in your head or a completely different one?
It's not my voice. It's never my voice. And I would say it's a heart-knowing voice. It's like I hear it from inside of me somehow. What would you say, Cullen? How do you perceive it?
Well,
never been asked exactly.
Well,
that
you
question.
like when you read a book silently, as you're reading it, you're kind of, because your eyes and your ears are kind of connected in some way neurologically. So you do kind of hear it in your own voice when you're reading, right? So I wonder if do you hear LARCMA's voice in like a male voice, a female voice, something completely different?
Good question.
They are what they call a group of 1 of 6 and 6 of 1. Sometimes there's a female presence, sometimes there's a male presence, or a male or female sounding energy, I should say, to be more clear. So it varies from time to time. But what Cullen and I notice, because we're receiving this at the same time, is we both always recognize exactly what it is coming through. And it'll have different tones, I guess.
Yeah, let's go backwards a bit. After receiving these mental telepathic messages for, let's say, 6 months, we began speaking out loud what they were telling us. And so I think, to answer your question more fully, we were actually speaking what they were transmitting to us out loud. And in the beginning, before we went public, we were both speaking simultaneously. We would be saying exactly the same words out of each of our mouths.
We even tried that when we went public, but it didn't work very well because
It confused people.
it's like a tennis match. People were doing this, trying to see who to listen to because the words were coming out of both of us. So we stopped doing that.
When you say speaking, are you saying channeling?
Yes.
Yes, although LARCMA doesn't like that term because they consider channeling to be a one-way stream of information coming into a channel. They prefer synchronization or merging, where they say they merge their energies with ours and they translate from what they call the libraries of our minds, their language, so that we can hear it and understand it.
In English.
In English. Their language is in musical and mathematical tones. They don't speak English.
They don't speak verbally with each other.
Yeah.
They use, as Pia said, mathematical and musical tones directly heart to heart between each other. So they don't need to verbalize what they're trying to help each other understand about why they're communicating.
I think that's one reason why it was so important for them to convey to us the importance of the binary number system, because it directly relates to their language. That's how they speak, with musical and binary mathematical tones.
When you guys are speaking, I guess you could say with them, do you consciously take a back seat like some channelers do and witness it, or how does it work?
No, there's a big distinction from our point of view about channelers. There are what we call conscious channelers, which is what we're involved with. And then there are trance channelers who give up their body and only allow their vocal cords to be the transmitting vehicle. We're conscious of everything they say, every word, every nuance. We hear it internally and we speak it externally. So it's a combined kind of melding or sharing between all of us, if that makes sense.
Kind of sounds like you're a translator in a way. Like
Yes.
you hear it and then you translate it and speak it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. There's one caveat to that. This is how we do all public sessions, podcasts, public gatherings, exactly as Cullen just explained. But if we're doing a personal session with an individual, LARCMA laughingly says, we switch you off. We're not allowed to listen to the conversation because it's personal.
Wow.
And that allows each person who has a private personal session with LARCMA, which we do
every day,
a number of them every single day, they then can feel trusting and confident that what they talk about is absolutely confidential. They can ask any question of their heart or their mind, and nobody will ever know unless they share that information with someone else. We like that because we don't have to be involved in their story. We don't have to be involved in all the information. It's just for them.
Do you feel that LARCMA has been in contact with you most of your lives and nudged you in the direction of your careers as well as finding each other?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And this and many other what they call parallel lives as well. We apparently have been a team with them in other dimensions, as well as this particular third dimensional life for a very long time.
Is it possible you were Pleiadians in a previous incarnation?
Well,
that's a good question.
It's a good question. And one thing LARCMA tries to help humanity understand is there is no past, there is no future. Everything is happening simultaneously. So they don't talk about past lives or future lives. They use the term parallel lives. So to answer your question, yes, we are Pleiadian and other energies right now simultaneously in other dimensions and other realms.
Cullen is one of his primary connections in other dimension is Pleiadian. which is why Larkma chose to come on his birthday when we were celebrating. And I have a primary connection with the angelic kingdom, although I have some connections with the Pleiadian kingdom as well. So I bring a angelic Pleiadian mix, and Cullen brings a Pleiadian angelic mix into the work that we do.
I recently had a guest that's kind of saying what you're saying, that all of our lives are happening at the same time. There isn't a past life. But she also talked about when one life ends in one dimension, they all end in all dimensions at the same time. There's like a beginning and ending point. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
And Larkma also says that when we clear out traumas here in this third dimension, that ripples out to all the other parallel dimensions as well. And when we claim a gift from one of the other dimensions and bring it into this one, we have it here and we have it there too. So there is a synchronicity or a synchronistic merging of who we are. And that's why we're here in the third dimension now, to integrate all aspects of who we are from all dimensions.
Once all these parallel lives end, what do we do next?
We do whatever we want and go wherever we want because we're energy. We're pure energy. So we get to choose.
All right. Have you ever seen these ETs in physical form?
They don't come on Earth in physical form like humans now, because they said every time they've done that with the Maya, when they gave them the Maya calendar, with the Cherokee, with the Dorgon, and Christ's time, every time they've appeared in physical form and mingled with humans, they've tried to teach humanity what we're capable of. And every single time humans have gone, oh no, I can't do that. You're a god. I can't do that. So this time they said, we're not going to do that. We're going to empower you to remember who you are. So they don't walk among us now, but they do come through people who are open. Larkma only comes through Cullen and me, but there are many, many other Pleiadian and other interstellar beings that are bringing forth information through other channels.
But they've never revealed themselves to you two personally?
Oh, yes,
Oh, yes.
in many ways.
Anyways, remember we told you that we saw 6 figures walking in front of the car before we were introduced to them and didn't know who that was? And they also explained to us that they were turning the water on to tell us to put more flow in our life, or turning things around to direct us in another direction. So we are very aware of who they are. And we have one great story that happened when we came home one day in a snowstorm. This is a great one.
We drove into our home, which was up a very windy driveway. At the end of the last curve, and this is going to sound really funny, but it really did happen to us. We saw 6 blue deer
About that high off the ground.
levitating off the ground with strikingly blue eyes. Blue deer with blue eyes. We quickly got out of the car because it was really snowing, a blizzard. We got into the house, took our coats and hats off, and Larkma said, so we've been telling you for years that we can shapeshift into any form that we wish. And we thought we might give you a little joke upon driving through this terrible storm, coming home and having something humorous, something to laugh at. And we said, well, you've appeared in other ways to us before, but this is the funniest. This is the most ridiculous. And they said, we thought you would get a chuckle out of this. And
So yes, they do reveal themselves. They always show up at the color blue. People in our gatherings, when we have done public gatherings, have commented, I saw blue energy or blue waves of energy all around you while you were talking. So other people can see their energetics as well.
if they're open
If
enough,
they're open enough, but they don't stand beside us in a form that you could reach out and touch
in a human
in a
sense.
human type way.
Since they're blue, do they have any relationship to Hindu gods?
Well, that's a very, very connective.
Shiba?
Yes, we believe that probably the Hindu gods were Pleiadians.
All right.
They like the color blue because blue represents trust. And they say they want humans to trust the Pleiadians. They want humans to trust what's possible. They want humans to begin to trust each other. So they like to represent themselves in trust because blue is the energy of trust.
Have they revealed to you what their purpose is here currently on Earth?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
It's
what
pretty
is it?
simple. It's pretty simple.
To help humanity make a conscious leap to get to the next level of consciousness, because we've been stuck for a really long time.
Are you familiar with the Yuga cycles?
Yeah,
The Indian?
I recently had a guest. Do you know the how do I pronounce it? The Bhavisha Malika. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
I just recently had a guest from India about a month ago talk about the predictions of the Bhavisha Malika, and it looks pretty bad.
Well,
Well,
we're
that's
in
one
the
thing.
end times basically for that prophecy.
Well, the Kali Yuga cycle ended in March of this year, and the Kali Yuga cycle of the 4 yugas is the lowest level of consciousness ever. Humans devolve during a yuga cycle that is descending in consciousness, and the Kali Yuga cycle has been taking us to a devolution of our technology, moving towards technology and out of our human awareness or cosmic awareness for thousands of years. But this period ended in March of this year. And we now move into a purification period, which is why we're going through all kinds of things to purify our belief systems, the damage we've done to the earth, all kinds of things are being purified. According to the Yuga cycle, it's supposed to last 300 years. Larkma says, not going to happen for a couple of reasons. One, the sun is sending out these CMEs faster and faster, which brings forth more light to purify and penetrate the darkness. Two, the earth is spinning on its axis at a faster and faster level. So the days pass more quickly than we're accustomed to. So it won't be 300 years in the old timing system. And three, the Schumann resonance is simultaneously raising our consciousness up from the delta and the beta and the alpha levels all the way up to the gamma levels of awareness.
so everything is speeding up. Larkma tells humanity on a regular basis, we do not make predictions. We believe that because this planet is a planet of choice, that we do have free will to a certain extent, that making predictions often doesn't work simply because of human choice. If we change our intention, if we change our ideas, if we change what we think, either what we're all about or what the cosmos is all about, that can change what a prediction may have predicted that something will happen on a specific Gregorian calendar date. And so when the Kali Yuga system was instituted or developed thousands and thousands of years ago, that was done in a specific energetic period that made sense to the people at that time. We have moved on so dramatically from that time, that era, that epoch, that things don't happen exactly as predicted. And you can tell historically, many people, psychics, Hindu sages have made predictions that have simply not come true. Even some of Nostradamus's predictions haven't come true. So Larkma stresses that we as humanity, as a species, have a large input into what happens, how it happens, when it happens.
So they will read an energy and tell us that they see the potential, the direction is going, and this may potentially happen. But they always say it's only one potential. So we have potential understanding that there are waves of energy coming in that are going to be awakening and lifting the consciousness of anybody who's interested in evolving and growing. But you can't pinpoint it to a specific day.
You mentioned that we're going through a purification process. Is that going to include wars and catastrophes and weather catastrophes?
All of it.
Probably all of it.
All of it.
Yes.
We can look around and notice that there are chaotic changes in banking, government, religion,
Weather manipulation.
There are absolute giant changes happening today that probably weren't even predicted, but that are happening faster and faster and faster. So I think, to answer your question, yes, this is all connected, and it all has to do with energy.
Well, how do we prepare for what's coming?
There's one answer to that and one answer only. Move out of fear, move into your heart, into love, and open to trusting the universe. Because when you open your heart, you get intuitive guidance of what you need to do, how you need to do it, where you need to go. If you contract into an energetic state of fear, you don't know what to do because you're looking at all these possibilities that overwhelm you, and you become more and more frightened about possibilities that could happen. But if you get out of the fear state and move into a state of love and trust in your heart, it opens up to your own intuitive guidance, which is what the Pleiadians are trying to teach us. Open to listening because you are part of the cosmos and you can hear what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to go if you just move away from fear and into love.
There's a really old spiritual adage. I don't remember right now who's responsible for it, who coined it, but it's a very simple little message. Whether you know it or not, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should be. And I think we have to trust that that is the truth, that things are happening for us, not to us. So many people take a victim stance. All these bad things happen to me, all these things that I don't want to surface or to be part of my life. And Larkma's point of view on this is these things are happening on purpose because every challenge we have is an opportunity for growth. Instead of seeing them as a problem or a blockage, look at these challenges as, oh, I can learn from this. I can grow from this. I can change my attitude. I can change my perspective. And if I do that, I won't have to suffer so much.
And reality shifts.
Would you consider the yugas the cycles of the universe, or is that something different?
That is kind of a tough question because there seems to be a difference between universal cycles that affect everything in the entire makeup of the universe or the cosmos. And there are particular cycles and things that only pertain to planet Earth. So that could be a yes and no answer, if that makes sense.
However, it could be that the Yuga cycle we are going through is specifically outlined for the evolution of human consciousness on this planet. And similar Yuga cycles are constructed for other species who are evolving in a different place. So I think the concept of the Yuga cycle is probably cosmic, but maybe they're engineered specifically for whatever species and whatever planet they're working on.
Many of my guests talk about the Ascension. Some will say it's already started. Some are saying it's coming. Do you feel that it is coming once we finish this purification process?
We feel we're in it now, that it's happening now.
We think that there have been a number of occasions that have uplifted humanity. The cosmic convergence, there are different names for this, that happened way back. What was the date?
Starting with the harmonic convergence in 1987. 1987.
That was a partial beginning of allowing humanity to evolve and grow. The energies changed. Whether that was engineered by some cosmic event or some cosmic wisdom, we're not sure. But since 1987, there have been benchmark situations where we have had what we would call uplifting or enlightening energetic pushes for us to open more and more and more. And each time one of those happens, we are at the precipice of greater knowledge, we like to use the word wisdom rather than knowledge. And we think that ascension has been an ongoing process for decades, not something that just happened, that someone woke up and said, well, we think we're evolving right now. It's been an ongoing process.
But people are aware of it more right now. They understand more because look at the synchronicities that are happening. all the time people are saying, I keep seeing double numbers on my clock, 1111, 444, whatever it is. People are being aware of the symbols that are showing them something's happening. Or I thought of so-and-so and they showed up at my door and all I did was think of them. All kinds of things like that are happening, along with astral projection, out-of-body experiences, flying in dreams, people leaving their bodies and coming back. All of these things are preparing us for making movement in another energetic form and not being tied to the carbon-based physicality that we are. We're moving into a lighter and lighter form, and it's influenced by our choices in diet, influenced by our choices in what we listen to, what we watch, how we choose to relate to each other with reactions or responses, whether react, whether respond. All of it is bringing us to higher and higher and higher levels.
You know, my wife and I see these number patterns on the clocks more than ever now. And as a psychologist, I mean, it's not our own cognitive bias that's doing that.
No, it's happening because the universe is speaking to us. The calendar that you referred to at the beginning of this show is based on the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology System, where the patriarchy has eliminated the energy of 13 out of everything. 12 hours in a day, 12 hours in a night, 12 months in a year, 12 eggs in a dozen, no 13. It's been deemed unlucky. But logically and scientifically, that's ridiculous. The moon goes around the earth 13 times. Women have 13 bleeding cycles within a year. 13 is the point of integration. It's the point where you have finished everything and you're ready to start something new. One reason we're so sped up as a society is because the patriarchy ends everything at 12, and then you start over at 1. So there's no place for resting or waiting. The reason I'm bringing this up in relation to your question is because with the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology System and the calendar that goes with it, the cosmic numbers that are universally present all through the cosmos give us an energetic perspective of how to navigate our lives. 1 is the energy of integration, of initiation. 2 is the energy of duality, where we look at different perspectives to get a broader perspective. Although we're not doing very well with that as a species, we usually use it as conflict point. 3 is the energy of creativity. 4 is the energy of foundation. 5 is the energy of, okay, what do we need to change in our foundation? 6 is the energy of flow. Okay, what obstacles are here? How do I need to flow around them? 7 is the midpoint, the point of merging. It's why indigenous tribes all over the world call 7 a lucky number, because it merges heart and mind, person to person, humans and stars, earth and stars. It's a merging point. 8, the infinity symbol. That's the energy of connection and abundance. 9 is the energy of harmony. 10's a tricky one. If you've been paying attention to the first 9 energies and working with them, 10 can be a point of manifestation where you manifest something differently. If you haven't been paying attention, 10 can bring you a challenge that says, wake up. You need to wake up. 11 is the energy of light coming in, which is why so many people are seeing 1111. 12 is the energy of understanding, and 13 is the point of putting it all together and integrating it. So when you see 222 on a clock, you're being told maybe you don't need to be so conflictual. Maybe you need to get a broader perspective and allow an opposite to show you something you haven't thought about. When you see 1111, it's pay attention. There's light coming in. Be the light that you are. So these numbers have cosmic meaning, and they're showing up more now because we're more aware of them.
Who removed 13? And was it done for a malicious reason?
Yes.
It was done to keep people from understanding that we're biological nature beings. We're not technological. We're not robotic. It was instituted as a control mechanism. My background is in anthropology and archaeology, and I have studied. I'm not involved in that anymore, obviously, but as a younger person in my university years, in my research time, I looked at cycles and patterns, and the matriarchy was for millennia, many millennia, the guiding force on this planet. The wisdom of the divine feminine energy was the guiding force. Well, guess what? The masculine energy, in its unbalanced way, decided that they didn't want the divine feminine to be in control. So they decided that we're going to be in control. And that is when things changed dramatically worldwide.
That's when the Julian calendar was created to put us into the 12-hour days. That's when we disengaged from 13 months a year that were 28 days each and moved instead into this period that is very chaotic of 30 days 1 month, 30 days, 31 days another month, and every 4 years we have to readjust. If they just left it alone and we had 13 months of 28 days a month, we'd be at a consistent pace all the time. I wrote a whole book on this called Sacred Retreat, which gives a whole expose of how this came about, how we moved to an artificial sense of time, an artificial sense of measuring what we do in the world and why it was done. Because the patriarchy, unlike the matriarchy, dismissed women. Women did not dismiss men. They believed that there needs to be a balance at all times, divine masculine, divine feminine. Patriarchy completely cut out the divine feminine and said, no, we're going to take control.
So an inequality between the genders began, and it escalated and escalated and escalated. I mean, we can look historically just a few years ago, a few decades ago, and women weren't allowed to vote. Women weren't allowed to own property.
They couldn't have a credit card.
There were so many things that the male dominant society prevented women from having, and it came from a very, very long distance old position. And I mean, there's so many books written about this subject. It's a very, very well-known idea that the patriarchy has been in control, out of balance for a very long time. So what's happening in the idea of ascension at this point is bringing back the balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine and marrying both of those energies, the attributes of both of them, and recreating a balanced world, a balanced society.
Is it possible that there are other ETs visiting and are involved in this planet that are doing nefarious things?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
They used to be. They're not allowed in this field anymore.
The whole discussion, the whole reality of what is known or was known as the Greys, as an extraterrestrial species coming here and doing nefarious, untoward things, was actually a reality. It was happening, and humanity was being influenced, but universal law, cosmic law, decided that that was an unfair influence, that it wasn't helpful, it wasn't balanced.
It wasn't allowing us to evolve.
So councils around the universe, around the cosmos, decided this is no longer going to be allowed. This is not something that has to do with evolution or growth. So it was stopped.
One of the greatest things that we still have is lingering from that is an addiction to sugar. Sugar cane was never intended to be on this planet. It is the most harmful substance we can eat. It tears holes in the light body. It disrupts cellular function. It is more addictive than cocaine or heroin. The World Health Organization and the National Institutes of Health put out information about how addictive and harmful this is for the human body. And immediately that information, after it went into scientific print, was taken out of publication because those who are still in human form, who wish to control the way the nefarious beings did before, they're pushing sugar everywhere to keep us addicted to it.
It creates a sense of fear and anxiety.
Underlying, always there.
And the sugar industry for years has lied to us, humanity, this species, saying, if you eat sugar, you will feel better. You will feel comforted. You will feel a sense of elation. And that's all true. That lasts for about 30 minutes. And as soon as that high begins to reverse itself, the anxiety, the fear, the distrust takes over the human psyche.
Sometimes when we're in large gatherings and we have the group asking questions or Lartma's talking to the group, Lartma will say, well, does anyone here eat sugar? And people will speak up and say, well, I'm trying to cut back. And Lartma laughs and says, that's like saying I'm trying to cut back on my arsenic. Because humans don't know just how poisonous and dangerous it is and what it's doing to our evolutionary process, our ability to open our heart and hear the intuition, and how it's causing us to decline in health.
Earlier, you spoke about CMEs, coronal mass ejections from the sun. And some of my guests talk about there's going to be a solar flash coming that's going to change everything. In your opinion, do you think that solar flash are just these smaller multiple CMEs, or do you think there is going to be a big event like that?
We think there's a potential for it to go either way. Larkma often talks about our having a cosmic pop, something really big that accelerates us really quickly. They also say, or it could be smaller pops that happen sequentially. So we think that the coronal mass ejections that are happening now are definitely a part of the solar maximum that we're in, where the sun is the closest to the earth and where it's bringing more heat, more light, more radiation into our species, into the planet itself. But is it going to be one big one or is it going to be a series of little ones? That's undetermined. The people who see and predict there's going to be a solar flash are predicting one very large potential, and it could happen. Larkma often says that maybe what we perceive as a solar flash is going to be an awakening of light coming within us that we may experience individually.
It may be misconstrued in our linguistic way of communicating with each other. It's possible that this flash, as Pia just alluded to, may be completely internal. It may be a flash of understanding. It may be a flash of recognition inside each one of us that changes us dramatically. So I think it's up in the air whether this is going to be a physical phenomenon that we see, feel outside of ourselves, that comes from without, or it could be an internal awakening, an internal flash of one of those aha moments where we go, oh, I now understand a much bigger picture than what I previously perceived as who I am and what the big message could be.
If we look ahead to 2026 and beyond, what emerging energies does Larkma foresee as being pivotal for humanity's awakening?
Well, they talk about waves of energy coming in and are becoming more aligned with and resonant to the waves as they come, as we choose. We are still going through a purification period and things are still continuing to accelerate. So 2026 is projected potentially to be a time where we are purifying more of the things that don't work and bringing in more of the things of the aha experience Cullen was just talking about. But they often say that by 2027, the world will be very different. We don't know what that means or what that looks like, but it seems to be moving in a positive direction. There are energies that are moving away from aggression and being too assertive and being too
Dominant.
Thank you, Cullen. Those energies are moving away to an energy of being more collaborative, less competitive, more nurturing. So as these changes increase and we begin to align with them more, the only thing that could happen is to create a better world.
Something happened this past March. The equinox brought a new wave of energies that many people could actually feel. They felt different. They felt awakened. They felt a number of actual mental, physical changes within them. Many people, that was what, eight months ago, they felt like they were changed. They felt like all of their relationships needed to change. What they were doing for their work, their personal relationships, where they lived. Many people at about the time of that equinox decided, I need to step out of this job. It doesn't feed me. It doesn't make me feel fulfilled. I really don't feel comfortable where I live. It's time to make a big change. Or the relationship I've been in, however long it might have been, short or long, I don't think I matched with the person I'm with. I need to make a big change. Starting then, just 8 months ago forward, many people are realizing that they don't feel comfortable doing what they've been doing all of their lives. That energy wave is happening more and more and more. And by this upcoming equinox in this spring, in March, there will be even greater energies coming that will help people realize that they want to be different. They want to do something absolutely that makes their heart sing, that makes them feel like they're really making a difference. I want to be more of service. I want to be doing something that appears to be making a much bigger change than whatever I was doing simply to earn money.
Another thing people are saying all the time is, I don't think I'm where I'm supposed to be. I think I'm supposed to move. We kind of laugh at that since we've moved all over the place because we know people move according to wherever they feel like they need to be. But I kind of feel like that the movement is more about, yes, we do need to move to another state of awareness. It's not necessarily about a physical location, although that can be part of it, because we're all being encouraged to move more towards nature. But it's also about movement energetically to a higher level of awareness.
What message from LARCMA have you received that has transformed you both the most?
That is a profound question. And I would say that has changed us personally, but also hopefully changed so many people that they've contacted through the work we're doing with them. And that is to understand that self-love is extremely important, that we can't really love one another unless we're clearly loving ourselves as deeply and fully as we can. So I think one of their biggest messages besides trust is unconditional love. They say that unconditional love is the highest, most important energy in the entire universe, the entire energy of everything that is part of the biggest picture.
And unconditional love involves non-judgment. So that means you cannot judge other people, nor can you judge yourself. So you have to stop the blame game and start looking at something that LARCMA has given us a whole set of tools to work with this. I agree with Cullen. This is the most important thing that has changed us and changed others. But it doesn't stop with just the understanding that you have to self-love, love yourself unconditionally. It also expands into look at the tools we've been given. LARCMA considers that we come here with a set of feelings: love, joy, trust, compassion, kindness, generosity, patience. These are all wonderful virtues that we bring into this earthly experience. Then we're given a whole nother set of things that they call emotions: frustration, anger, sadness, any of these things that make us uncomfortable. This is the lower level of feeling state, which they call these are the emotions. And they say that the most important thing to recognize is that the emotion is there to show you how you are out of alignment with the higher reality. So if you're feeling really angry, you need to stop and feel the anger and then ask, what am I thinking about it? And usually people are angry at, why did he do this to me again? Or why did she say that? Or why did I make that stupid mistake? Whatever it is, it's a judgment. So LARCMA says that's improper use of the tool. Feel the anger, Notice what you're thinking and then say, what else could be true? And as you explore that, you will have one of two things happen. You'll either recognize that there's a situation you need to change, or you'll need to recognize that there's a perspective you need to change. For instance, the situation is, I can't live with this person anymore. We don't resonate. That's a situation change. A perspective change is, well, she probably didn't mean to hurt my feelings. She was probably showing me a different way to look at it. What else could she have meant? That's a perspective change. But either way, the emotions are one of the biggest tools that we have to align with the goal of becoming unconditionally loving towards ourselves and towards everyone and everything else.
How have your lives evolved over the past 2 decades of sharing Larkma's messages?
Being of more and more service all the time in every way that we can.
And maybe I can add to this and you can answer not only your lives, but your relationship together.
Enriched, enriched, enriched. When you reach a place where you can love another person, no matter what they're doing, what they're going through, what they're feeling, what they're saying, what they're thinking, and you don't judge it, but you participate with it in that experience. And there's unconditional love there, and you can see whatever's going on. This is just an experience too. That opens up a whole nother realm of what we call divine connection, just absolute divine love. I would say that our relationship with Larkma has opened us up to remembering the potential, the possibility, and the reality of being in a divinely loving relationship.
I would add to that specifically the term unity.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we have learned with this remarkably loving experience with Larkma and others, we also work with many other beings from different realms and different dimensions. They all have the same.
We call them voices from the light.
They all have the same message, basically. Unity, unity, unity.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we're here on this planet as humans is to unify and understand that we're all the same. We're here to get along. We're here to be of service, and we're here to let go of all of the division, all of the separation, all of the things that don't work, and create a unified field where we're all equal, we're all helping each other, and there's a fair and equal exchange of energy, love, everything between all of us. So I think unity is one of the greatest things we've understood in this association with our friends and colleagues.
But that doesn't mean that we condone things that do not resonate with our hearts. We see it as somebody else's choice, their experience, what they're doing. We don't necessarily have to condone it. If we don't resonate with it, we just choose a parallel direction. And by choosing a parallel direction of a higher frequency, we set an example that there's another way.
You guys write about Earth spirals.
Mm-hmm.
What are those?
Well, we're living in a world that perceives everything as a hierarchical progression. You go from first grade to 12th grade, and then you go to the next 4 years of university if you choose to do that. Whatever you do, it's hierarchical. We've been trained to look at everything hierarchically. If we want something to be better, we go to a medical doctor and we consider him higher than us because he knows more than us. Or we go to a religion and say, teach me what I need to do, because we perceive them as being higher than us. Everything is taught to us, and we're trained to see ourselves as being meager little beings that are disempowered, relying on somebody higher than us to get the answers. One thing we love about Larkma's wisdom is they tell everybody they talk to, don't believe us. Trust in your own heart. We're sharing our perspective. If that resonates with you, that's great. If it doesn't, find your own way, but you must listen to your own heart. And that's part of their empowering us. So the reason to bring that up is that in spirals of consciousness, we're constantly going through lows where we get a different vantage point of, oh, we shouldn't do it this way, we should do it this way. And then it goes up to another level, and then it goes to another level. So our consciousness is constantly spiraling, just like the stars are spiraling in the universe.
Energy spirals. Energy is always moving in a spiral direction. It learns how to continually move that energy that it is, because all energy has wisdom, all energy has intelligence. And instead of being static, the way Pia was describing hierarchical stepping stones of either you learn this and then you learn more, the spiral allows us to be involved in a more holistic, more energy-driven way of going up and up and up, or sideways, sideways, sideways. It doesn't matter which direction it is, because the hierarchical understanding is always moving forward, but it can be in any direction. But the spiral is really important because it's liberating, it's freeing, it's movement.
On another podcast, you spoke about how there are two paths toward enlightenment or challenge. What is Larkma's guidance for that?
I think you're talking about the Great Split. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So in the Great Split, the idea is that there are people who are awakening, who are aligning with these waves of energy that are coming in, who want to be the highest versions of themselves. They're nature-based humans. They're people who want to connect with one another, create unity, commonality, community. There's another whole set of group of humans who are saying, nope, I want things the way I want them to be, or the way they used to be, or the way I project the future will be, who are aligning with technology, artificial intelligence, aligning with something that is not based on biology, nature, or the cosmos. It's a completely different path.
Are you finished with that thought?
Go ahead.
It's about the difference between consciousness and unconsciousness. People who are waking up are becoming more conscious and more conscious and more conscious. People, as Pia just described, who want to stay in the status quo. They don't want to be open to newness. They don't,
or project us into an artificial environment. That too.
Yes. The Great Split is about the difference between people who are open and the people who are closed. And people who are waking up are opening their hearts. They're opening more and more and more to possibilities, to what we call unity consciousness, what we call fair and equal exchange, what we call service. That group is moving more quickly towards the ascension process of an egalitarian society, of a helpful society, of a genuinely conscious way of realizing that every thought we think, every word we use, every action we take can either be negative, non-helping, or it can be positive. It can be supportive, helping, and loving. The people on the other end of the Great Split really thinking of
Competition.
What's important to my family, my tribe. I don't really care about anyone else. I just want to be in my own sphere of what I think is going to make me happy. They're confused, and they don't understand that we can all move to the same space, the same place, and create a better world. But the collective, for the most part, is still asleep. They just don't get how they can move into that space of love, generosity, and kindness.
So to add to that, part of this Great Split is those who are awakening are becoming more empowered with what they're capable of doing, while those on the other side are surrendering their responsibility and their conscious choice in the hierarchical system to something outside of them, largely AI. Oh, let AI do it. Let AI write the report. Let AI do this. I don't have to be responsible. So they're surrendering their responsibility. So they're definitely not ascending as quickly because they're not empowering themselves by making responsible choices. They're turning it over to religions and doctors, to gods, to artificial intelligence, anything other than making a conscious choice themselves. Now, the end point of these two paths, all humans will arrive at the same place eventually. But Cullen likes to say those on the ascension path that we described as being aligned with nature are on the fast train. And those who are on the other side pulling away from nature are on the slow boat. So it's a matter of how each person chooses to either align with nature and open their heart, or to surrender their own responsibility and their consciousness and give it to somebody else, which will, of course, take them longer to awaken.
Will this great split evolve into two Earths, as some of my guests have
Possibly.
talked about?
Yes.
Possibly.
We see it a little bit differently through Larkma's wisdom and direction. We see that the people that we're speaking of who are waking up, who are already awake, are creating what people are calling the new Earth, the positive, the how do I say this?
Lighter.
More loving, more generous, more filled with service direction. Those who are not going in that direction are not going to create a different Earth. They're going to go to a different planet, an unnamed place at this point, where they will be held in a place that they think is planet Earth, where they will continue their karmic, their lessons of life, not realizing that they're no longer on the original Earth, but they're just still embroiled in their competition, their conflict, their unconscious behaviors, so that they will have the experience of still being on Earth and learning their lessons, but they won't be going to the new Earth that's going to be a completely different kind of place, if that makes sense.
I'm making a simple prediction here, and that is some of the comments may say that who Larkma is are just demons. What kind of response would you have for that?
Well, what I would say is anybody who's in Larkma's presence cannot possibly feel their demons, because there's so much love presence that it absolutely opens their hearts. That thought never enters the mind of someone who is really in Larkma's presence, because their loving energy is palpable, totally palpable.
When we do public workshops or gatherings, sometimes with large amounts of people in the audience, many people cry, many people have great emotional connection with the energy, the love that Larkma brings into the space. Many people will tell us afterwards, I thought they were looking directly at me through you and speaking to me directly to open my heart. And I felt so filled with love. I felt so filled with light. So when we hear comments that you're getting from some of your viewers, we feel like they're missing the point. They're not allowing themselves to be available or open to the love and the support that Larkma is here to give us. So
And from that, adding to that, I would say for the religious folks, they're not opening to God, because source is love. God is source. Source is love. The Pleiadians only bring forth love. So if you're stuck in a belief system of it can only look a certain way or follow a certain set of rules, that is very rigidly staying in a belief system that doesn't allow expansion and growth.
Well, while we're on the subject of public gatherings, you two are going to be at the Sedona Ascension Retreat next spring.
We will.
What are you guys going to be doing there?
We're going to be talking about the ascension process, and Larkma will be speaking. We'll be bringing Larkma, and they will be talking to the group about tools for ascension, the evolutionary process, everything that we need to do, what's happening right now, the interstellar ships that are showing up. They'll be talking about all of that. And there'll be question and answer period where people can actually ask questions that they want to know directly from the Pleiadian perspective.
they're going to talk about the fact that, and I'm using the word fact on purpose here, that after all this time of not being physically here on Earth, for reasons that we've explained earlier in this conversation, they are actually going to show up at some point in the near future. They are going to make their ships more visible day and night, and they will actually walk among us again as they have in the past, because they feel like we've evolved enough to understand that they're not gods, that they are simply more evolved beings that have gone through an evolutionary process somewhat like ours. Not exactly, but they also went through a process where they had to let go of their belief systems, their fears, their blockages, their shadows, just as we are doing now at this point as a species here on Earth. So they will be coming and making themselves more available in support and help. And I think the occasion this spring at the conference will be a much more palpable experience for people in the audience to realize that the energies are here. They can feel it. And as Pia said, they can ask questions directly and they can get input for them to feel more comfortable, to feel more resonant with the wisdom that these beings, and it's not just Larkma, obviously, there are so many beings from other realms communicating through humans at this time. They're here for support. All of the negative stories about invasion or negative beings coming and controlling humanity is all made up fear, absolute fear and anxiety designed information. They are not coming to hurt us. They are not coming to harm us. They are coming to commune and help us be more like them.
There's an interesting thing, Jeff, that sort of supports what Cullen just said. NASA and the space agencies have just announced this big scientific discovery that the Pleiadian star system, which has always been known to have 7 different stars, that they're called the Seven Sisters, all of a sudden they have seen 20 more light emanating bodies in the sky in the Pleiadian cluster. And they're saying, oh, there must be more constellations there than we thought. Larkma laughs at this and said, oh, even your scientific community is beginning to see our light ships. You see us now. You're beginning to see that our ships are there, close to you. And this is interesting because the Pleiades is closest to Earth in November and one other time in the spring. And this announcement was made this November. So the scientific community is seeing the presence, but they don't know what it is. And they're documenting it as, must be more stars than we thought in this constellation. They're actually seeing ships.
Well, you spoke.
So March is going to be exciting.
You spoke earlier of interstellar ships being out there. Does that mean there are a bunch of them in Earth's orbit?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely they are.
There are ships, there are beings who are supporting our evolution here on Earth from many, many different star systems. Arcturian, Orion, Lyrian, Pleiadian. There are ships here now. I have to tell you that we have laughed for decades about the idea that there has to be disclosure from the governments around the world to let us know that there are really beings around this planet. People have been seeing ships for decades, for hundreds of years. There are actually paintings as far back as biblical times, during the Renaissance. There are classical paintings with orbs or spaceships in these paintings. People have been aware of this forever. It's not a new phenomenon.
We certainly don't need any government to tell us they're here.
How many ships do you think are out there?
Thousands and thousands upon thousands.
I mean, just in our orbit.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Wow. That's amazing.
There are people among us who see them every day, every night. When they go out and gaze at the night sky, they see what people call UFOs. LARCMA doesn't like particular descriptions. They don't like the term ET. They think that's disrespectful. They don't really like the term UFO. They have light ships. Their ships are run on light, on energy. They don't work on propulsion systems like we do here, sending missiles out into the night sky with propulsion of physical material that burns, that makes the ships move. Their energy causes these ships to move intergalactically. And it's amazing. We have had many experiences where we see ships and we talk to them. We say, okay, we know you're there. We see you. Could you move to the right? And instantly, this energy, this light moves to the right. And we go, well, that's great. Could you move to the left? And within milliseconds, they move to the left. What other kind of evidence do we need that they're listening and they're communicating with us?
I feel like we've just scratched the surface and what you guys have to offer. If they want to take a deep dive, what is your website?
It's LARCMA, LAARKMAA.com.
It's a great website. It's extensive. It has lots of archival information, lectures that we have given over the decades, podcasts,
articles,
interviews. We've written articles for a number of magazines and journals around the world, in the US, in Australia, in the UK. There are many, many archival pieces of information that can help people understand what we're involved with.
Along with services, what we do, how we offer LARPA to the world, or other services that we may have, like Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, or the calendar, things like that. That's all on the website. So just LAARKMAA.com.
If people want to ask you questions, do you have a contact form there?
We do. We have a newsletter that they can subscribe to, which will answer many of their questions in our newsletters. We have a YouTube channel. It's LARCMA YouTube, spelled the same way. And we also have a contact form where people can ask questions, but we encourage them, if they really want a Pleiadian perspective, they should have a session with LARCMA, not just email us a question. But yes, we do have a contact form.
We provide personal sessions with LARCMA on a daily basis. We've done thousands and thousands and thousands of these over the years. It's the best direct way for someone to connect with LARCMA, and people are often absolutely surprised at what comes out of these sessions. They come with questions, they come with curiosity, and LARCMA, because they're able to read their energy signature, will tell them things that they were either afraid to ask or were confused about, or something that would help them absolutely leap in their conscious level of understanding. We think this is a great way for people to grow and evolve. There's a funny story behind this. When we began our work with LARCMA publicly, we only did public presentations. And LARCMA made it clear, even when many, many people would ask us, can I have a personal experience with LARCMA? And we would tell them, no, LARCMA wants to connect with as many people as possible by being in public. And we did that for, 10, 12 years. And then all of a sudden, in a public gathering, LARCMA made an announcement. They said, we have decided that we want to work with people one-on-one. And people were like amazed that they changed their attitude. Pia and I were shocked that they announced this in public without talking to us about it. And they said,
Changed our lives.
They said simply, we know this will change their lives, but we know they're able to do this. And since then, as I said, we have connected thousands of people with LARCMA personally.
We talk to people all over the world.
Before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
Should LARCMA do that?
Would you like LARCMA to speak that instead of us?
Of course, that would be interesting.
Hello, dear one. We are Larkma. We are here because we wish to support your evolutionary journey. You have asked for a last positive message from Pia and Cullen. We would be pleased to give you our perspective of something of positive and uplifting frequency. Is this agreeable with you?
Yes.
We would like to encourage you to remember who you are, to remember that you are on a path of awakening and that the energies are supporting that awakening. Do not be afraid of things that are coming, but be excited about things that are surprising you. Things are much fuller, freer, happier, joyful, amazing than you can possibly imagine as you move through this ascension process. As you open your heart and clear your fears, you move into a state of being who you truly are. You recognize when you do this that you are energy, and that as energy, you can move around as you choose, when you choose, where you wish to be. You can make choices that are heart-led instead of choices that come from your mind and the way that you've been trained or taught. So our message of positivity to you would be, remember that you are love and that you are loved. We and many others from the light are here supporting this grand opportunity for you to evolve into who you truly are, to remember the powers that are dormant within you, but are breaking open into your awareness at these times. Do not be surprised if you do things that you did not think were possible. Do not be surprised if you amaze yourself at what you suddenly understand. All of these things are accelerating, and you will see more and more acceleration of this in 2026 and 27. We expect that you will wish to connect with other beings from other realms more and more as you feel, sense, and know that we are here with you. You will begin to understand and welcome a cosmic connection as you yourselves become cosmic citizens. We trust this will give you upliftment and trust in your path, and maybe just a little bit of joy and fun in the journey along the way. Remember, challenges are always opportunities for growth, and they always offer opportunities to do things in a different and more positive way. With this being said, we tell you, as we always say, don't believe us, trust in your own hearts. Your hearts have all the wisdom. We are here sharing our perspective and happy to do so, but your hearts will connect and know all the truth. We love you. Good always.
Larkma, thank you for your message. And Pia and Cullen, thank you for being my guests.
It's been our great pleasure. It's been a dynamic, enjoyable conversation.
We're happy that we could speak with you and your audience, and hopefully some of, or maybe much of what we've had to share will be inspiring and enlightening and helpful to all who are listening to this information.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.